You're
You're
welcome back to another episode of the On Defense podcast, where we're commanding the conversation with the voices of Fan Nation. We are jumping into this Week 15 matchup. It's a big one. We've all been waiting for this one as our Commanders take on the New Orleans Saints. We have a really special guest for this episode. We're super excited to have him on there. We got our boy Domo here with us. Domo is a fan just like we are, as well as somewhat of a football expert. You know, I'm not even going to toot his own horn, but Domo knows his stuff, so we're definitely going to put him under the test today. How you feeling today, Domo?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm blessed to be here, man. I'm happy to be back with the Commander squad, man. Feels good to be home. You know, I had to take a little short hiatus from the squad, but yeah, I'm happy to be back, man. I appreciate y'all for having me on.
You already know, man. We're happy to have you on. As you always know, it's your host, Reb, and we got my boy, Kenny G.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We're going to jump right on into it. Join us for another fun episode.
Who blaze the trail? Raise hell, raise hell. Hell to the commanders will prevail. Raise hell, raise hell. Hell to the commanders never fail.
Let's go, Fan Nation. We're gonna set the stage as the Commanders are holding the number 7 seed in the playoff race currently, fueled by their statement win over the Tennessee Titans. Meanwhile, we got the Saints. They're dealing with some injuries and some uncertainty at quarterback. We're going to talk about how Washington uses this momentum headed into what could be a true turning point in the season. As you know, this 4-game stretch is quite important.
Thank you, Kenny, for setting the stage, man. This is going to be a big one, like you said. There's a lot going into this, but before we jump into this matchup, let's talk a little bit about what we did against the Titans. As y'all know, we beat up on those Titans, man. 42-19. I was feeling good going in that game, but I honestly didn't expect that. Like, the Titans had the number one passing defense and the number one running defense going into that game, and the Commanders just came in there and said they didn't care about none of
Thank you.
that. They didn't care about none of that, man. How y'all boys feeling about that statement win that our Commanders just had?
Man, when it comes down, we talk of statements, right? There's one thing that I want to talk about, and that's our running game. Our running game is the biggest. This is our biggest attribute to our offense and really to our team because it's our identity, right? One thing that DQ always talks about is about establishing an identity. And we've done that throughout the season in terms of knowing when we rush the ball, when we play our game, we win. You saw what happened against the Ravens when they held us to less than 50 yards on the ground. You understand what I'm saying? So when we can't run the ball, we can't establish our identity, we tend to lose our games. So once we started early and often, okay? It wasn't just the defensive side of the ball. We're gonna get into that. But when you talk about our offense, man, I just love the fact that we just ran the ball down their throats and the offensive line was just having fun. You could just see it. They were
You hate to
smiling.
see
Sam Cosmi,
it.
Allegretti, man, they were just smiling the whole game. Them boys was having fun. And hey, you talk about a statement win, we did that.
Definitely, man. I mean, when I got a chance to look at the actual stats, because I was at the game, so I wasn't really indulged in the stats. I enjoyed the bye week, but after I looked at the stats, I knew we were dominant, but I didn't realize how dominant we were on the ground. The Commanders had 267 yards on the ground, and they possessed the ball for 40 minutes and
Yes,
13
sir.
seconds to Tennessee's 19 minutes and 47. So, I mean, shout out to our defense for playing better, but they barely had to play this game realistically, y'all.
They rested. That's how it should be, man.
It feels good to see those type of performances. Damo, how do you think Washington should use this momentum from the Titans game going into this next matchup?
Yeah, I really think the game plan shouldn't really change much. Going into the Titans matchup, I felt like the Titans had some weaknesses with their run fits, and then in their passing defense, like I feel like the Commanders, they're best when Jaden is also a threat on the option. We got to
Yeah,
see
you're
more
right.
of that because it really truly makes the game 11 on 11.
Mm-hmm.
You can hold that linebacker on the edge, man, and he got to make a decision. And by the time he decide, you got Robinson running up through the hole. He already passed the line
Mm-hmm.
of scrimmage, and he just trying to beat a cornerback or a safety. So I think this it's the same thing here with the Saints, man. The Saints actually have a really good pass defense.
They do.
One stat I like to look at when I'm measuring pass defense beyond just the yards, because the yards sometimes can be inflated or deflated depending on who you play, but is the opponent passer rate. Like the Saints right now are top 4 in opponent passer rate.
Ooh.
So they get after it on against quarterbacks, but they're a bottom 5 team in yards allowed per carry. They're giving up 5 a pop.
Mm.
So Jaden Daniels, Robinson, man, they gotta eat, man. Start with that run game, open up defense up, and then you get Jaden outside the pocket, and you can hit deep shots down the field to turn. So I expect some of the same, man. I think it's going to be another blowout, honestly.
Yeah, I
Love that,
definitely
man.
think I'm feeling that energy, bro. I definitely think it has the makings of a blowout. But to your point, though, man, that defensive pass rush, they've been doing some things. They got a guy, what's his name? He's been standing out. I can't remember his name. We'll talk about him a little bit more later. But he was the one who blocked the field goal. He's a defensive tackle for them. He's been getting some tackles for loss and stuff. So I'm definitely interested to see how we can isolate that pass rush, especially with JD5 looking more like himself. You know, and also coming right off that bye week too. I know them boys gonna be well
They needed it.
rested.
They needed it for sure. They were banged
Yeah,
up. They definitely needed that bye week, no doubt about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm hearing that Wally gonna play, which is gonna be big for us.
big time. Big time. We need that. We need us to be healthy, especially coming out of this bye week. We know how important it is late in the season. Week 14 bye, obviously last place schedule, so they scheduled our bye week late into the season last week, the last week that you can even schedule a bye. So
Yeah,
coming out of this, man, I mean, you saw Terry when he left the conference, the news conference. He said he bent down to the mic and said, "I'm gonna enjoy this bye week." And listen, I felt him. Like I felt him. Like I felt that energy because I was like, damn, man, like our boys deserve this. They deserve
Hmm.
this by the way they've been working. It's been a grind. It's been an absolute grind throughout the season. And it's a new regime. Everyone's gelling together. We still trying to figure it out, overall in terms of, what type of, as I said, we're establishing an identity. And when you're establishing an identity, it's those tough games. It's those tough
Hmm.
weeks. And as you go into a bye week and you make a statement like we just did against the Tennessee Titans, and coming out of a bye week, this is the reason why I believe this game against the Saints is so pivotal. Pivotal. It's so pivotal
Yeah,
in terms of the type of performance that we're looking to put on as a team. Because right now, man, it's amazing. Like I've never felt this
hmm,
way, as feeling this way in terms of our team and the playoff implications. The fact that we're not the team that is playing spoiler. We're the team that actually has a true opportunity to make a run at the playoffs. So it feels good. It feels great, guys. I know y'all feeling good about this.
yeah, man. That 8-5, it feels good. Normally around this time, we all making mock drafts, talking about who we should be drafting
Thank you.
next year,
Thank you.
hoping the Cowboys lose in the first round like normal. This year, they're not even going to no rounds, so it's feeling real good,
Switch
man.
seats. We switch seats.
long
I'm
time, man. They ain't been 85 since '96.
talk
So
about it, Domo. I was
she said,
6 years old, man. Come
85,
on.
man.
Like
That's crazy.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were still believing in Santa Claus the last time they went to
Facts.
the
that's a
Come
Facts.
on, man.
long time.
Facts.
That's a
Before
long
any of us
time.
ever stepped foot in a
Look,
go-go. You know
right.
what
Oh man.
Damn,
Shoot.
man.
Yeah,
Crazy,
man.
man.
I definitely think this game is gonna have a lot of emotion riding on there. Speaking of emotion riding on there, how y'all feeling about Lattimore stepping up against this his old team though? For real, for real. Like, how you think that he gonna show up? How you think he's even feeling right now? Bless you.
Like,
Bless you, brother. I'll let go ahead. Follow up, Domo.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, look, hey, scouting report, we got it for the offense and the defense, right? Um,
Mhm.
I'm kind of like curious to see if Derek Carr is going to play because I kind of want him to play because he's been taking all the reps. And they don't have to come up with a whole new playbook. They're gonna go with what they know, and obviously Lattimore knows that playbook, knows their schemes. So I,
Mhm.
I love having the ops on our team, so we
There
can
you
uh,
go.
so we can have an advantage on their snap counts, their signals, everything, man. And we can kind of get a jump and get after the quarterback, man. So yeah, I'm excited about it. And he's gonna be turned up to play his old team. So yeah, I'm excited, man.
Listen, I'm glad that you mentioned that and you highlighted that because that was one of the main things that I don't think anyone's talking about. The type of advantages that we'll have going into this game. Obviously, the script was written. I said it when we we made the trade, and I knew that he wasn't playing the following week. I said, "Watch." I said, "It's week 15. Ironically, we play the Saints, guys." I said, "Look, let him rest. Let him rest till post
Mhm.
bye week, and he's gonna come in and make his debut against his old team." What I mean, come on now. The script is written. We know what it is now. But the key thing is the fact that hey, we got a leg up on him. It's in
Mhm.
season. It's not the next season, new coaching staff, tweaks, things like that. He was just on
Mhm.
that team.
True.
So he's gonna have a leg up in terms of, calls. He was just practicing against the offense, scout team. He knows that team through and through. So with that being said, that gives us an advantage. I know Joe Witt is picking his brain. Okay.
Oh
I know
yeah.
damn well he's picking his brain. In film study, hey, Lattimore, what's this? What's these calls, Lattimore? Come on now.
Yep.
You know he's over there spilling the beans. So I absolutely
Mhm.
love it. It's not in the same situation where yeah, some people say, oh well, Chase played on our team. No, that was a whole new coach, whole different coaching
He
staff.
could spill
This is
all
not the
those beans.
same. Okay. This
Spill them all.
no
Most of
BS,
those
man.
beans
So
play on other teams now, so he can spill them all.
facts. Facts, man. Facts. So I believe that the Saints they're struggling right now, man. They lost their quarterback in Derek Carr. I still don't believe like, it's the NFL, right? Any given Sunday. We cannot take them lightly. I
Hmm.
know that anyone outside of that locker room may have different feelings but everyone inside that locker room, I promise you, they are not gonna take them lightly. They are going to go into this, they're going to go into this game and treat them just like as if they were 100% healthy. They're not looking at it, not going to take them lightly. And that's one thing I can say. DQ's going to have them boys ready.
Yeah, man. I think that they need to go in this game learning from the mistake that they made going into the Cowboys game. I genuinely feel like the team came
Yep.
out not only gassed against the Cowboys, but almost expecting like
Hmm.
Dallas to lay down and just take it, and that wasn't the case. And I don't think New Orleans is going to do the same because the NFC South is a lot closer than any of us are really paying attention to. And they're a couple games away of actually being in it. So I do think that even though things are sparse for them, I definitely think they're going to be going into this with a lot of emotion. So it's going to be a good game to watch. And, I know we're down for it. A good team is supposed to come through and take care of teams like this. And this, to me, is really another measuring test of how good is this team really? Are they ready for that next push? Because they're supposed to just come through and handle teams like this. So all I'm going to say is I can't wait for the bold predictions.
Ah, yes indeed. Yes indeed.
Now let's break down the key matchups that could decide the game. From Lattimore's potential impact on the defense to the Saints' efforts to maintain Terry McLaurin, this game is packed with some exciting battles. We know we got Chase Young coming back home. It's his homecoming. We know we might end up at Rose Bar, but it's okay. He gonna come in and we're gonna send him home with a goose egg, but he gonna spend 2K at Rose Bar later on that night. But with that being said, um, Rev, what do you feel about these key matchups? How do you feel heading in, to this game when we head to New Orleans? What you got?
Well, we've been talking about Lattimore coming home enough, so I'm excited about seeing him play again. I think we've covered that, but on top of Lattimore, we do have other defensive backs in that room, and one thing that I'm really looking forward to is the indirect impact that Lattimore is going to have on guys like St. Juice and Mikey Sandestro, right? Are we going to let Mikey continue to play outside where it seems like he's finding a home? What's that going to look like for St. Juice and Noah I, right? Because Noah I was getting a lot of reps as well too. So I'm really excited to see how we're going to match up against them. I'm also, even though I'm ready for us to beat the Saints, I can't not act like they don't have good receivers. They actually do have some receivers over there. Chris Olave still plays for the Saints, y'all. So that is something that I am keeping an eye on. I'm gonna watch for that.
Mhm.
Alvin Kamara is still somebody who's there, and they get very active with him in the passing game. I believe they have another rookie back who's out there now. That's been what's his name? Is it Kendra Miller? He's like a little bit of a hidden gem. They hold him up. He's been on their practice squad on and off, and he's really been balling out. So I'm interested to see how our secondary is gonna hold up, man. I'm not worried about our front seven. I feel like our front seven, that we can talk about that matchup, but that's the one thing that going into this game I'm confident about, man. Frankie Luvu, the way we've been using him like the Tasmanian Devil, I really think that things are going to be very interesting. So I'm interested to see how that secondary is going to elevate now that Lattimore's on the field.
Nice, nice. Domo, how do you feel about the Commanders' offense, versus the defensive front? What do you think that, we have to do in terms of maintaining our offensive momentum leading into this game?
Yeah, I think the Saints are a pretty decent. They have a pretty decent pass rush. I think you got to kind of use that aggressiveness against them, like I mentioned earlier with the read option. I think you really got to kind of keep their defense honest and make their pass rushers kind of take a second to guess who has the ball. Holding that ball there, and sometimes Jaden keeping it, because there's been a lot of opportunities I feel like this year, and probably because he's been dealing with the injury, where he's had clear walks to first downs or touchdowns on the keeper. He's been kind of handed it off. So I think as he's coming off of a bye, being healthy, potentially back to 100%, I think them keeping the ball more is going to open up their aggressiveness, the Saints' aggressiveness, rushing the passer, and I think we can open them up, man, and gash them. So both in the run game and the pass game over the top. So that's what I expect to see. It's similar to what they did to the Titans, man. High volume of rushing yards on the ground and big plays down the field with the pass game.
Nice. I got a question for you. Did you see JD5 in that elf costume today?
Yeah.
You think he gonna bring it to New Orleans and bust it out, pregame?
I mean, I don't see why not. Why not? I mean, the weather permit. I mean, it's gonna be nice. So why not?
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. Jaden out there looking like the elf on the shelf, man. But hey, listen, hopefully Christmas comes home early for us and we take care of the Saints like we're supposed to, and he makes it rain all over them. As y'all were talking about that, I started thinking a little bit about my boy Terry, man. How y'all feel about the way we use Terry in the Titans game? And do you think we're going to see a lot more of that early, like Terry actually moving around going forward? You think we're going to start to see a little bit more of that implemented, or was that like a one-off? What y'all think?
One thing I'm going to let Damo say his point, but one thing I can say, Cliff listens. He listens. Because the way that the media scrutinized them and he understood, like, okay, yeah, we play the first play out the game, he had Terry on the right-hand side of the field. Because everyone was screaming for his head. Why don't we play Terry? Why is Terry always on the left-hand side? He's never on the right-hand side. And it was the first play of the game. He's like, yeah, shut up. Let me put him on the right-hand side of the field. So I loved it. I love the fact that, hey, at least he listens, and he knew that we needed to switch up. The reason being, more than anything, I'll just say this, our offense, we don't have a number two. We don't have a strong number two yet. So once we have that, I believe, Terry will be we'll see more fluidity through our offensive scheme, especially on the edges, outside the numbers. Because as of right now, let's just be honest, all we have is Terry. We don't have anyone that's truly can step up and be that true number two receiver. And I believe, another off season under AP, we'll get to that, no question. But Damo, to your point.
Yeah, man. Just to piggyback off what you were saying, Kenny, let's be real. Like the offensive talent on this team, besides Jaden and Terry, isn't that great.
And B-Rob, you gotta give B-Rob that too.
And B-Rob, for sure, and B-Rob. Yeah. But there's not a lot of dynamic speed and explosiveness within the skill positions on his team. So I think a lot of how we score and produce such a top 5 offense is the unpredictability of the scheme, and moving Terry around. I think is a part of that. Having formations where the defense can't dictate run or pass. It's a part of that. So when you add that extra element of being able to move Terry around, you don't know and then that also kind of gives a tell on whether they're running zone or man. Like moving him around gives your quarterback a tell. So I think they need to do all of that, because you don't have a Derrick Henry or Justin Jefferson on this team, or what's my man at tight end? I don't know why.
Bowers.
Yeah, Bowers. You don't have one of those guys that is like, it don't matter where he at, just throw it up and he can go get it, or just hand it to him and he can make something out of nothing. You don't have that on this team. So your advantage is your unpredictability. Moving Terry around, quick game, option, making these defenses think. Even if it's just for a split second, that gives you an advantage. That gives your wide receiver an opportunity to get past the defense and make big plays. So I think whatever they can do to be unpredictable is an advantage for them. So keep doing it.
I 100%
Cliff,
agree with that.
Cliff.
Yes, sir.
Listen, to y'all's point, I think not having a true number 2 does really feed into that unpredictable nature of this. And another thing that I would love to see going forward when we talk about matchup, I want to see a lot more 12 and 13 personnel. I feel like our team is very successful when we have 2 to 3 tight ends on the field. And when we're looking for that number 2 receiver to emerge, a lot of the times that guy could be a tight end. Like Zach Ertz, he's still steady. You know what I'm saying? No yak Zach. He gets it done. He's playing real well. John Bates has been, continuously improving. He's a great blocker and he's a serviceable pass catcher. And the guy who I really think they're holding going to be a secret weapon late in the season is Ben Sinnott, man. Like, you go look at that guy's college tape. He has the hands. He loves to block. He's a former hockey player. Like, he just does all the little things right. So I feel like a lot of that is Cliff just adding layers and layers and layers. And to Kenny's point, another season under AP, we start to be able to build up a little bit more. It's going to get crazy, but I'm loving what's going on. And I want to see our tight ends on the field a lot more in this game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. Having 2 tight ends on the field gives you that extra blocker. And again, the unpredictability. The defense doesn't know whether you're going to run or pass, and you're not giving up size if you do decide to go run, and you're not giving up catching ability if you decide to go pass, because your tight ends are some of your best pass catchers. Because, like y'all said, you don't have a true number 2 wideout. So yeah, I'm definitely down with that for sure.
Or just throw in Trent Scott again. Have him, catch another one in the end zone for us.
Oh man, talk about a dancing bear, y'all. Let's keep that. Shout out to my homie Hop. You already know that's the only Q dog I know off the top of my head. All right, y'all. So we've been having a real good time chopping it up. Let's jump into some game plan and strategies for our Commanders going into this game. So if y'all were the coaching staff coming in this game, what type of game plan or strategies are you going to implement across all 3 phases? We could start with any phase that y'all would like to, whether special teams, defense, or offense, whoever want to start off can kick us off.
Go ahead, bro.
I was just say I start this off with it. For me, it's defense. It all starts there. For me, I'm looking at it in terms of how, of course, we touched on it before, leveraging Lattimore's knowledge, to disrupt, their offense. But at the same time, I'm just interested to see how Lattimore takes away one side of the field, because we've never had it's been years since we had a true lockdown, shutdown corner that we could just leave man to man on one side of the field. And no matter what we're playing, no matter what coverage we're playing, whether it be cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, we're doing zone man scheme. Doesn't matter what we're doing. Okay. You can literally put Lattimore on one side of the field, put him on your number 1, and he could be man to man and shut down that side of the field. So I'm interested to see how our offense adjusts. I'm truly interested to see how they use Juice and Mikey and Noah. How we're going to use Iggy, how we're going to use Mikey, how we're going to use Juice with Lattimore on the field now full time. So I'm interested to see, our how our cornerbacks play and also just our defensive backfield as a whole. I'm not worried about our front seven, especially in this particular game, considering the fact that that I mean let's just be honest, the Saints just don't scare me on offense, especially with them losing Derek Carr. Not saying we're gonna take them lightly, they just don't scare me. That's all. That's all I'm saying. So with me, it's more so like I'm not gonna say, oh, this is a great game to warm up. I guess you could say it's a warm up game, to lead into the playoff run. But but you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that the Saints is just a pushover. But at the same time, when you lose your starting quarterback the game before, they're gonna come in like vanilla. Like it's not like they had a lot of time to prepare where we had an entire bye week, to come in and prepare for their offense. So I'm just really interested. I'm interested to see what our defense does, but also just the game plan that we're able to create against a struggling offense that already came in struggling, but then also just lost their star quarterback.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I'll piggyback off of that, man. I think that the defensive end is where I'm interested to seeing the chess match, particularly with Alvin Kamara, because that's who I'm worried about.
That's the
If there
same.
was a player to be worried about, I mean, he's leading them in rushing. He's leading them in receptions and
Mhm.
yards and targets. So he's pretty much their entire offense. If you
Right.
stop him, you stop what they're trying to do. So I'm looking at Bobby Wagner, man. Like that to me is going to be the key in Louisville, of course. The linebacker play. How do they
Somebody's got to
contain?
do it.
Yeah, how do they contain Alvin Kamara and keep him inside the hashes? Because when he gets outside or he gets out in that passing game, man, he could be a home run hitter. So
Hmm.
that's really what I'm worried about. That matchup between our linebackers and Alvin Kamara.
Like,
If it's the backup Spencer Rattler throwing the ball in the 3 games he's played, they're 0-3. They're losing by an average of 21 points in those games.
come on.
So uh, I mean, I don't see why it would be anything different. Again, you don't want to take an opponent lightly, but
Hmm.
I think you can bottle him up, get after him, and no pun, you can rattle him. And you just gotta keep Alvin Kamara in check with those linebackers. So I'm interested to see that matchup.
Yeah, we're coming in this game with a 27th ranked pass defense, so that's definitely something that I feel like the Saints are going to try to take advantage of. And not only is Kamara a really great runner for them, Taysom Hill. We talk about being deceptive on offense with our team. The Saints do a really good job of mixing it up by having a guy like Taysom Hill who could literally line up anywhere on that field. He can line up at tight end, he can line up at receiver, he can line up at running back, fullback, even quarterback.
Mhm.
So it's going to be very interesting to see how they use Taysom Hill in that. If I wanted
Right.
to say there's one area that I'm going to be watching, I'm definitely going to be watching the offense in this game. We're going up against a guy who used to play against us, Chase Young. Kenny mentioned off camera earlier that Chase Young had 10 pressures last game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
which is his
Yeah, 10
career
pressures
high.
in week. Yeah, 10 pressures in week 14, tying a career high, most by a Saints player in the last two seasons. Six pressures came in under 2.5 seconds. The most, obviously, the quickest pressures by a Saints D lineman since 2018. So, take that
Yep.
statistic with what you made. I mean, he ain't hit home, but he had 10 pressures. And
So to your point, right? Chase Young getting pressure is something I'm going to be watching for. But even more than Chase Young, I'm going to be watching Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan single handedly can shut down offenses.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. So he's still on that team. And Domo mentioned earlier on in the pod that they have a really great pass defense as well too. So all of those are factors that I'm watching for on offense, and I'm really interested to see how we truly mix it up. Right? Are we going to get into that run game early? Are we going to start to see a lot more exotic runs? Right? Are things going to look a little bit different? Are we going to use a little bit more window dressing? To double click on what Damo said earlier, are we going to move Terry around? Are we going to consistently do that? Those type of pieces are things that I want to see on offense. If I was the offensive coordinator, like I alluded to earlier, I'd be doing a lot of 12 personnel. I'd be doing a lot of 13 personnel. I keep it real simple. John Madden football. We're going to run the ball out of the eye. We're going to come out in pistol. We're going to do a lot of duo with some GT pools. That's just how I would do it.
Yeah. I mean, use some of Chase Young. To me, he's over aggressive. I feel like he
always has been.
Since since he's been with the Commanders, like he just over pursues, which is why he never gets home because he didn't ran past you. And I think
breaks containment galore.
Yeah, against a read option offense with B-Rob and Jaden Daniels, I think you can really exploit his side.
Just running right to him. Just running right at Chase Young. Come on. I promise you, he breaks containment every single time. He's horrible in a read option. They used to do it against us. I don't know if you remember. There were teams that were taking advantage of us because they know Chase loves to break containment. So
he's
running right at him.
He's not a disciplined edge rusher. So I mean,
he's not a disciplined person.
Yeah, against a player like that, man, against read option, man, that you should be able to kill. So that's what I'm hoping, man, against that defense. You got to go away from Cam though. Like you can't run to his side. Yeah, you don't want to run to his side because he's a game breaker.
Brian Bursey is another guy they got. He's a D tackle.
That's the
guy. That's the guy who blocked the field goal.
Yeah. They bring him off the bench, man. I think he lead them in sacks too.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Nice. Tackle that don't even start. Yeah.
They using him.
Real quick, I was gonna say, I think Taysom Hill was on IR, so I don't even think they're gonna have him.
Ooh,
really?
That's a good one. Yeah, I think you might be right about that. Hold on,
that's another weapon.
Look it up.
Hey, if you said that, we fact checking that right now. If you said that, that ain't nothing but a word,
man.
Yup, yeah. Saints officially placed Taysom Hill on injury reserve 4 days ago. Yeah, so with that being said, it's time to raise hell, y'all. Where my flag at, dog? We need to go in there, time to raise hell. What we talking about? Hold on. We should have led with that.
Hey, you got the flag.
Well, damn. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we know how this game's about to go. Taysom Hill's off. Okay, yeah. Nah, but in all seriousness, though, I think you all, with the defense, when we talk about game plans, with a guy like Lattimore, if I was Joe Witt, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go watch all those Rex Ryan Jets defenses where you just never really knew what was going on. Like they'd have guys standing up at the line. They'd have people lined up. They'd have people in the second line, in the second level in 4 technique, which don't make no sense, but they did it and it worked, bro. Like I would go back to that amoeba defense, make my defense look very Morpheus and blob-like, and you just don't really know what's coming out.
Yeah, try to confuse a young quarterback, Spencer Rattler, man. Yep. He can't get his cues and figure out what you're in. Fake blitz, act like you're gonna blitz and drop in the zone, dropping the coverage. Act like you're gonna cover and then blitz, delayed blitzes. I mean, there's so many things you can do, man. So just to confuse him, and like I said, he's 0-3, and then you lose by average of 3 touchdowns when he plays. So you gotta go at him.
Yeah, Rattler stay rattled.
Yeah, let's keep that like that,
Take advantage.
Before we move into our bold predictions, which is all of our favorite parts, and our score predictions, I just want to go ahead and give an honorable mention to special teams and their impact in this game. I honestly feel like our last game against the Titans, special team playing solid, at least in all phases except for field goals, really, really helped us maintain momentum in that game, especially seeing what we did against Dallas. I'm going to be looking for our special teams to continue on that stretch, and also for Zane Gonzalez to get it together and start making some field goals again. I know he can make some of those field goals he's been missing. So
only because his girlfriend was there.
Yeah, I get it. But Austin Steinberg not breathing down your neck no more, Zane. Don't worry about it, baby. Just go ahead out and kick, you know?
Listen, when you shouted out special teams auto man, there's two players I want to shout out on special teams, and it's a huge congratulations to Jeremy Reeves.
Yep.
He won
All
our
pro
Ed
Revo.
Block Courage Award winner for 2024. All Pro Revo, man, absolutely. Big shout out to him for what he's done. We all know what he brings to our team. I'll never forget that moment where he cried with Ron Rivera and he got that Pro Bowl acceptance, man. I'll never forget that moment
He
where
deserve it.
Revo had came into the office and he told me he was going to the Pro Bowl, and it was just a very, very wholesome moment. Another huge shout out I want to give to is the Tress Way. He's the all-time hunter in Redskins history. Okay, just surpassed in terms of how I forgot it's over 35,000. I think 35,700 and some change yards. Now he holds the record for the most punting yards in Redskins history.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to those fellas, man. Special teams. I love that our teams, special team guys aren't like secondary players. They are starters. Like we have guys who are legit on our team that are starters on special team. And I love that mentality out of those guys.
So let's go, gang. Let's bring some fun into the mix. It's time for our bold predictions. And some Commanders and Saints nostalgia, but we're gonna bring in this bold prediction energy. Y'all know it is our favorite segment. So let's run it. So Fan Nation, I want you guys to leave your comments down below with your bold prediction. But in the meantime, Domo, what's your bold prediction?
Yeah, man. I think my bold prediction, I'm gonna go the Commanders don't punt the entire game. I think the offense is gonna be that in control and dominant that they don't punt.
I like that.
I like it.
Tressway gonna be sipping pina coladas, or oh
Tressway
no, my
on the
bad.
day
They
off.
in New Orleans. He gonna be on the sideline eating beignets. My bad. Beignets and coffee
Got that
for
man
our
a
boy
bucket of
Tress.
crawfish, man.
Oh
Get us a
man.
crowd ass. All right, that's what's up. That's what's up.
We only punted once last game against the Titans, and I was actually
This,
surprised by that. So yeah,
yeah,
man, this will
facts.
be great if we could go. We gotta have another game where we didn't punt not one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be love.
What you got,
I'll go
Red?
next.
Yeah.
My dare I say my bold prediction is too bold. So initially, I was thinking my bold prediction was gonna be one touchdown on both offense and defense. But as I started to think, and as we went through this episode, and I discovered that Taysom Hill ain't gonna be in there, I'm just gonna go ahead and just crank the boldness meter up just a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and say two touchdowns on each phase,
Oh, you turned it
or
down 50.
or we're gonna get one across all three. That's how I'm gonna do it. We're gonna say either
Wow,
two
special
touchdowns
teams,
on
defense,
defense
So
and
and
defense
offense,
offense.
and offense
or
scoring.
we just gonna get
Trifecta.
or we just gonna
Trifecta.
get one across all three. That's my bold prediction for this game. That's the type of energy I'm feeling on right now. We 8-5. We supposed to feel like this.
Listen, I love it. I love it. I guess my bold prediction isn't the boldest in comparison to you guys, but I'm gonna go. So for some reason, I don't know. I've been feeling it in my soul. There was a statistic that just came out. All right, Terry McLaurin has the highest EPA per target at 0.77 among all players with 75 plus targets in a season since Next Gen Stats started tracking the data in 2018. So you telling me in 6 years, our receiver, Scary Terry, has the highest EPA per target. Man, just feed Terry. I told you
Mm-hmm.
Cliff listens. I told y'all earlier in the segment,
Mm-hmm.
Cliff listens. You don't think he just seen that statistic come out? Let me tell you something. Cliff about to feed Terry this game. I know we're gonna run the ball, but it's only gonna open it up for Terry Moore. So I'm gonna give it to you. Terry's gonna have his first 200-yard game, 2 touchdown game.
Ooh,
So you saying
whoa,
you saying I
200?
need to trade for Terry this week on my fantasy? Like,
What? Two
hold
for
up.
Listen, man.
two?
I'm telling you, I'm going for Terry for 200, man.
Sheesh.
I thought my
Okay.
prediction was bold. You try to downplay it like it ain't that
Bold,
bold,
man.
y'all. It ain't that bold. Like what?
That's pretty damn bold. 200
It's
for
pretty
Terry.
bold, bro.
Bold,
Hey,
bold.
feed Terry, baby.
Hey, listen, I'm with it, man. Feed that boy Terry, bro. Feed Terry like you feed cousin Terrio. Let's go, baby.
Let's get it.
All right, y'all. So before we get into our final score predictions, I want to pose this question to not only Fan Nation, but also to you two gentlemen. So, Fan Nation first, who do you think is going to be your MVP of this game? And for Kenny and Domo, the same question. When this is all said and done, if we take this W like we're expecting to, who do you think is going to be the MVP of the game that gets us through?
I mean, if they offensively perform how I think they're going to perform, I think it's going to rightfully go to Jaden Daniels because I think he's just going to have his hand on.
What's the jersey you got on, bro? Let him show him the jersey,
Hey,
bro.
one time for him, man.
Come on now.
High school Jaden
For those
Jones,
who
you know
don't
what I'm
know, that's
saying?
his high school jersey. You understand me?
Yep, the Inland Empire.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm gonna go Jaden Daniels, man. I think he's gonna have his hands on the run game. Obviously, he's gonna have his hands on the passing game. Red zone offense, third down. So I think he's gonna have himself another potentially 4 touchdown day.
Okay, I
Ironically,
like
bro,
that.
you stole it. You stole it from me, man. I was gonna say JD5 was gonna have his day. He's the one player who I believe is gonna carry us to this victory. But if I had to say someone else that's gonna be our MVPs, it's gonna have to be the big uglies up front. I think our guys up front are going to be the difference in this game in order for us to win it and dominate, as they have the entire season. That's the
Mm.
reason why on this pod, anyone that knows us, we shout out Bobby Johnson. Okay,
OG
Bobby
Bobby
Johnson,
Johnson.
OG. You understand me? Our guy having them boys working up front. People have to understand. Shout out goes to it goes to it's not just Cliff, okay? It's everyone behind him. It's the entire staff.
Anthony
Brian
Lynn, Brian
Johnson,
Johnson,
okay,
Tavita Pritchard.
exactly. Tavita Pritchard, OG Bobby Johnson, of course, and then our run game coordinator himself, Anthony Lynn. Okay, this is the reason why our offense has been having so much success. So it's going to start up front with our big uglies.
I like that. I like that. Man, you kind of make me want to give a coach the MVP. But I'm gonna go a little bit off the beaten path, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be our running back room. And
Mm.
I'm not giving it to just one guy because I do think B Rob will be the catalyst. But I'm honestly excited to see B Rob and what's his name, number 36, the new bus, Chris Rodriguez. Like,
Mm,
Oh
he's
yeah,
been running
yeah.
hard, and like
C
I
Rod.
honestly think that he's
Cool.
going to be one of those different makers going forward in this season because we've been hard on him as a fan base because he hasn't really been able to touch the field as much. But seeing him out there like that, it's like having B Rob number two almost. Like he's not as explosive as B Rob, it feels like, but he's just as much of a power runner. He runs with such good vision, man. I think
Hmm.
that's going to be very versatile for us. And, I look to B Rod being more of a pass catching back in this game and C Rod being more of that hammer in this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something that our fan base needs to know. A win against the Saints on Sunday and a Packers loss, we move up to the 6th seed in the NFC,
Get
which
that.
everyone knows how important it is for us to get that 6th seed. Okay, so Commander fans, we're not just rooting for the Commanders this week. We're also Seahawks fans. All right, we're gonna be rooting for that 12th man. Okay, because understand something that the 7th seed we're gonna end up playing Detroit or Philly. I don't want to go to Detroit. I don't want to go to Philly in the first round. I'd rather much see either the Seahawks or the Falcons or even the Rams if they creep up back because that win was impressive. That was
It
very
was.
impressive against the Bills. They're hot right now. They're one of the NFL's hottest teams. Okay, so it's going to be intriguing to see. It's going to be very intriguing to see how the season plays out. This 4 game stretch is quite important, man. I'm just so happy that we can even say we have playoff implications because Lord have mercy,
Love
baby.
it. I love it.
88% chance for us to be in the playoffs. Man, am I
Beautiful.
dreaming?
It's like
Yeah, man. We control
I
our
talk
own
imagine.
destiny, man.
I talked about it earlier. I talked about it earlier. I made a post on the OTF page, and it was one thing that I talked about, and I got amazing feedback from my fan base. And one of the main things that I had, well, we had mentioned was the fact that it just feels good that we are the only team in the NFC East that is not related to any dysfunction. Because you
Man,
guys see what's happening
Crazy.
across the NFC East after Sunday, even after well Monday, technically, because you had Cowboys dysfunction. We know damn well they're dealing with dysfunction. Then you have the Giants dysfunctional. Okay. Then
stop.
now you got the Eagles who are 11. They got 11. They won 11 games this season, and they're
Hmm.
still dysfunctional. You got their starting receiver AJ Brown throwing the quarterback under the bus. Like
Yeah.
what? Like this is, and that's the one thing I've always said about the Eagles, guys, is the fact that they're a me team. Okay? They are all about me. They
Mm-mm.
have the most talented roster in the entire NFL. I give them that. But the problem is they don't know how to win together. And that's the reason why I don't believe they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I said it earlier in the season. I said that's the one difference between our team and any other team in the NFC East. We don't have me players. Our players
Mm-hmm.
play for each other. Okay. And I
Facts.
love that about the culture that we're building. Yeah, we might not have all the talent in the room, but you damn sure know that we got players that are going to fight for each other, tooth and nail. Where you got the Eagles, you see Nick Sirianni in a post game rally after they win a game. You got players in the locker room looking the other way. I mean, players in the locker room and they locker funneling with shit. You know what I'm saying? Not even paying attention to their head coach
That's
when
crazy.
when he's trying to rally them after the game. Yeah, you can miss me with that shit. Commanders, we on the rise, baby.
Let's get it.
Yeah, man. Let's get it, man. With that being said, let's jump into our final score predictions. Damo, you are the guest in this house, so we will go ahead and let you eat first, brother. What is your final score prediction?
Man, okay, so they won't punt based on my bold prediction.
Hmm.
Uh Jada may have a 4 touchdown day, so I'm gonna say
I love it.
uh 40. I'm gonna say
Okay.
40 to I'm gonna give him 20. 40 to 20. That's my prediction.
Okay.
40 to 20.
Okay.
All right. All right. I like that. All right. I was kind of in a similar boat. I'm thinking we can do maybe like 38. That's what went across all three phases. And I was going to give them 14. I'll give them 14 because I feel like Alvin Kamara might get one on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going 35-17.
35-17.
Yep.
All right. Well, y'all all heard it here first. Anybody watching this, make sure you drop your score predictions down there. Definitely let us know what you're thinking. You heard all of ours. Let's see if we're going to be right. Honestly, y'all, this has been a fun podcast. Damo, it's been amazing having you on here. We definitely need to do this again, man. Like it's been
No,
just
appreciate you,
hearing
man.
your perspectives. I love how you think about the game. I love the analytics and things that you bring, man. So thank you so much for blessing us and everybody watching this with your knowledge, brother.
Appreciate you having me on, man. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, with that being said, Kenny, you got any closing remarks before we get out of here?
Hey, listen, the only closing remark I need for you guys, y'all need to ring that bell, like,
Mm-hmm.
subscribe,
Mm-hmm.
and comment. If you're new here, you're new to the pod, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to tap in with us, man. Tap in with our on location, content. We do so much more. Follow all of our platforms, whether it's Instagram, whether it's X, whether it's
Yep.
Facebook, okay? Follow us, man. We're young, we're up and coming in terms of our content. So if you're new here, we really do appreciate you tuning in with us. And thank you, Damo, for joining us on our episode.
And make sure y'all follow Domo too. His Twitter presence is really, really great. I love
Big
seeing
time.
his tweets. I love seeing everything he's doing. Damo's a wholesome person. So give him a follow. I'm going to put his socials down also up on the screen. And yeah, we'll
Sure.
see y'all on the next episode of the On Defense podcast. Peace out, Fan Nation. Let's go.
Raise hell, raise
We'll
hell.
blaze the trail.
Raise hell.
Raise hell, raise hell. Hell to the commanders will prevail. Raise hell, raise hell. Hell to the commanders never fail. from kickoff to the final play. We're here to win,